I can't imagine being so cold that evolving 2 layers of hair is considered normal. The last time I was called a woolly mammoth was in high school, and it wasn't for the reasons you would think. Jokes aside, they really had 2 layers of hair, a thick undercoat comprising of 1 inch in length hair, and an overcoat of longer, coarser hair measuring 27.5 inches in some areas. This is the story of the mammoth. Picture the Earth around 30,000 years ago. Vast ice sheets cloak much of the northern hemisphere, temperatures plunge well below freezing, and wind-swept plains known as Mammoth Steppe dominate the landscape. Across Eurasia and North America roams one of the Ice Age's most iconic giants, the woolly mammoth, Mammoths primigenius. Standing up to 3 meters, 10 feet at the shoulder and weighing as much as 6 metric tons, these behemoths were at once imposing and surprisingly well adapted to a realm of snowdrifts and biting winds. Yet the woolly mammoth was far from a lumbering brute. Fossil evidence suggests a sophisticated social structure, behavior reminiscent of modern elephants, and an ability to exploit a specialized diet from tundra vegetation. Archaeological finds reveal a surprising bond with early humans, who hunted them for meat and used their bones for shelter construction. Today, entire mammoths have been discovered entombed in permafrost, preserving not only their bones but also fur, organs, and even stomach contents, clues that help us unravel the hidden details of how these shaggy colossi truly lived. So, what made the woolly mammoth so successful, and how did it carve out a niche in the unrelenting cold of the late Pleistocene? What do we know about their daily habits, their family ties, and their ultimate demise? From the vantage of modern science, we can peer back into a time when giant tusks roamed the tundra and glean secrets from the frozen remains that have defied millennia of ice. This is the secret life of the woolly mammoth, an odyssey across tundrascapes, deep freeze strategies, and an extinction still woven in mystery. Woolly mammoths didn't arise in isolation. They belonged to the Elephantidae family, sharing ancestry with modern African and Asian elephants. Their lineage can be traced back to earlier proboscideans such as Paleoloxodon, the straight-tusked elephants, and Mammoths meridionalis, southern mammoths. By around 2 million years ago, these ancient elephants split into various branches. One lineage honed cold-adapted traits, setting the stage for Mammoths primigenius, the woolly mammoth, probably emerging around 400,000 to 600,000 years ago in Siberia or adjacent regions. Evolutionary pressures in glacial climates propelled a suite of specialized traits. Thick insulating fur is the hallmark of woolly mammoths, but there's more. Their skin possessed sebaceous glands that produced oils, aiding in waterproofing the fur. Beneath the hide, a layer of subcutaneous fat offered further insulation. Their ears were smaller and more rounded than those of modern elephants, reducing heat loss. Even the shape of the mammoth skull and the length of the trunk reflect an adaptation to frigid, windswept habitats. Nostrils and trunk tips had to remain functional in sub-zero conditions. Perhaps the most striking feature of a woolly mammoth, beyond its fur, are the mighty tusks, which could spiral outward up to 4 meters, 13 feet, in length. Tusks were used for foraging, e.g., scraping away snow to reach vegetation, displays, or possibly dominance interactions within herds. Meanwhile, the high-crowned molars were adapted for grinding tough, fibrous grasses. Each mammoth typically cycled through several sets of molars in its lifetime. This dental adaptation mirrors that of modern elephants, underscoring the deep evolutionary links within the Elephantidae. In these ways, the woolly mammoth epitomized how a large herbivore could flourish amid ice ages, evolving robust insulation, specialized teeth, and tusks that served as multi-purpose tools. By the height of the last glacial maximum, they roamed from Western Europe to Eastern Siberia, and even crossed into North America via the Bering Land Bridge, showcasing their remarkable adaptability to some of Earth's harshest conditions. Woolly mammoths thrived in a biome often referred to as the Mammoth Steppe, an extensive belt of treeless grassland that stretched across northern Eurasia and into Alaska and Yukon during the Pleistocene. Characterized by dry, cold conditions, the steppe was dominated by hardy grasses, sedges, and herbs. Rainfall was minimal, and permafrost locked water beneath the soil's surface. Yet the short summer season still supported abundant, protein-rich forage. This environment sustained large herbivores like mammoths, woolly rhinos, steppe bison, and horses. Key features of the mammoth steppe: sparse trees. Temperatures were too cold for widespread forests. When scattered stands of larch or pine did occur, they clustered in more sheltered locales. Fertile soils. Despite the chill, soils, loess deposits, could be surprisingly fertile, sprouting an array of grasses in the brief but intense growing season. Windy plains. Fierce winds scoured the tundra, discouraging tree growth and distributing loose silt. In such terrain, mammoths used their tusks and trunks to sweep away snow, exposing grasses and sedges. They also likely congregated near rivers or lakes, seeking minerals and water. While the environment appears hostile to modern eyes, for mammoths, it was a well-stocked pantry, as long as they carried robust adaptations. The cyclical nature of glacial and interglacial periods would shift the size and distribution of this steppe, forcing mammoth populations to migrate in steppe with suitable habitat. Understanding the mammoth steppe context underscores how the success of woolly mammoths was intertwined with climate patterns. As glacial eras waxed and waned, the fortunes of these creatures hinged on their ability to follow the rolling grasslands. Eventually, however, climate shifts and human pressures would erode these steppe bastions, contributing to the mammoth's downfall. Despite their imposing stature, woolly mammoths, like modern elephants, subsisted on herbaceous plants. Analyses of preserved mammoth stomach contents and dung, especially from frozen Siberian specimens, reveal a diet of grasses, sedges, wildflowers, mosses, and occasional shrubbery. This matched the mammoth steppe's plant community, high in cellulose and tough fibers. The mammoth's large, ridged molars ground this gritty vegetation efficiently, though heavy tooth wear was common. Their broad, ridged molars could pulverize enormous quantities of plant material each day. Estimates suggest a single mammoth might eat up to 150 kilograms, 330 pounds of vegetation daily. Seasonal shifts in tundra vegetation posed another challenge. During warmer months, mammoths could exploit fresh grasses, herbs, and possibly wetland plants in thawed areas. In winter, they relied on wind-exposed slopes or used their tusks to remove snow and access dried grasses beneath. The thick, insulating fur and dense fat layers aided in minimizing energy expenditure, but mammoths still needed to roam extensively to find sufficient forage. Evidence from stable isotopes and tusks indicates that seasonal movements were commonplace. Some herds traveled hundreds of kilometers to track fresh feeding grounds. Like modern elephants, mammoths likely sought out mineral licks, areas of salt or mineral-rich soils, to supplement their diet. Access to water was also critical, especially in summer. Meltwater from glaciers and rivers probably served as key watering holes. In winter, they may have used tusks to break ice. All told, the woolly mammoth's day-to-day life centered on constant foraging. Because they carried massive body masses, maintaining steady nutritional intake was a near-continuous endeavor. Their environment provided ample food during glacial peaks, but any disruption to the grassland mosaic, whether from abrupt climate change or human hunting, could have tipped their delicate energy balance. Fossil trackways, bonebed sites, and comparisons with modern elephants suggest that woolly mammoths lived in matriarchal herds. A typical group might consist of adult females, their calves, and juveniles, all led by an experienced matriarch. Mature males generally roam separately or form small bachelor groups, joining female herds primarily during mating seasons. This social system parallels present-day African savanna elephants, with the matriarch guiding migrations, deciding feeding grounds, and responding to threats. Woolly mammoths, like elephants, had long gestation periods, around 22 months, and bore a single calf at a time. These calves nursed for several years, reliant on maternal milk and gradually transitioning to vegetation. Paleontological clues from juvenile remains, such as the well-known baby mammoth Lauba found in Siberia, highlight how maternal care must have been intensive and prolonged. Mothers and aunts likely cooperated in calf protection, forming a protective circle when faced with threats such as wolves, cave lions, or human hunters. Though we lack direct recordings, we can infer that mammoths communicated via vocalizations, trumpet calls, rumbles, and body language, just as modern elephants do. Some mammoths had extended sinus cavities in their skull, possibly aiding resonance. It's also plausible they displayed emotional intelligence, mourning behaviors for deceased herdmates, or formed strong social bonds. When confronting predators, Pleistocene wolves, scimitar-toothed cats, or cave lions, adult mammoths likely gathered their young in the center, brandishing tusks outward. If threatened by human hunting parties, a defensive ring could make them difficult to approach without sophisticated tactics. Evidence from certain kill sites indicates that early humans often targeted stray or weakened individuals, underscoring the protective advantage of cohesive herd dynamics. This social complexity suggests woolly mammoths weren't just solitary wanderers of the ice, but cooperatively minded familial creatures. Their group living likely enhanced calf survival in the harsh climate, and underscores that the daily secret life of a mammoth was intimately tied to the comfort and security of its extended family unit. Throughout the Upper Paleolithic, humans and woolly mammoths often occupied overlapping territories. For Ice Age hunters, a successful mammoth kill could supply hundreds of kilograms of meat, a stash of fat, and invaluable raw materials like bones and tusks for tools and construction. Archaeological sites in Europe, e.g. in Ukraine and Czech Republic, reveal mammoth bone shelters, circular huts built from stacked tusks and bones, covered possibly with hides. This underlines just how crucial mammoths were to human survival in glacial conditions. Beyond utilitarian uses, mammoths left an indelible imprint on early human culture. Engravings and carvings of mammoths appear in Paleolithic art, such as the Vogelherd cave figurines or the Rouffignac cave drawings in France. These depictions might reflect awe, reverence, or a desire for hunting magic. Tusk ivory was sculpted into ornaments or small figurines, indicating that mammoths may have also occupied a spiritual or symbolic significance among Ice Age peoples. Hunting large, armed herbivores required cooperation and strategy, possibly driving mammoths into bogs, pitfalls, or ambush zones. Some sites show butchery patterns suggesting repeated kills in the same trap location. Over time, humans refined these skills, aided by stone-tipped spears or arrowheads. However, the full extent to which hunting impacted mammoth populations remains debated. Climate changes presumably played a larger role, but human hunting pressure likely contributed to local declines, especially as the last refugees of mammoths shrank. Ultimately, the human-mammoth dynamic exemplifies both synergy, where humans capitalized on mammoth resources, and conflict, where these iconic beasts faced predation from an intelligent, tool-wielding apex hunter. In many ways, this relationship parallels that of prehistoric humans with other megafauna, setting the stage for radical changes in the Pleistocene ecosystem. Around 12,000 years ago, Earth underwent a significant climatic warming known as the end of the last glacial maximum. As the ice sheets retreated, tundra landscapes gave way to expanding boreal forests in many regions. The once vast mammoth steppe fragmented into isolated pockets, restricting the range of cold-adapted species like the woolly mammoth. Warmer, wetter conditions reduced the open grasslands that mammoths needed to sustain their high-fiber diet. Studies of ancient DNA extracted from mammoth bones and permafrost reveal that populations began declining long before final extinction. Some subpopulations became genetically isolated. Wrangel Island in the Arctic Ocean was one such last refuge, hosting a dwarf form of mammoths that survived until about 4,000 years ago, millennia after mainland populations vanished. This isolation, while briefly protective, likely led to inbreeding and genetic impoverishment, further undermining survival. While climate was a primary driver, Many scientists argue that growing human populations played a critical secondary role in the mammoth's disappearance. By the late Pleistocene, humans occupied a broad swath of Eurasia and North America, armed with advanced hunting techniques. Even modest hunting pressure on slow-breeding megafauna could tip them toward extinction. Radiocarbon dating indicates that in certain regions, mammoths disappear from the fossil record soon after the arrival or intensification of human settlement. The extinction wasn't instantaneous. It spanned thousands of years across different regions. Some populations might have vanished abruptly from new climates or overhunting, while others clung on longer in northern refugia. The final blow likely involved a synergistic effect of habitat change, hunting, and possibly disease or catastrophic weather events. In essence, while the mammoth was supremely adapted to the Ice Age, it had little resilience against a rapidly shifting environment and newly formidable human adversaries. By the dawn of the Holocene, these giants had mostly faded into memory, leaving behind only dwarf remnants in isolated Arctic islands. One of the most remarkable aspects of woolly mammoths is how frequently entire bodies have been preserved in permafrost. In Siberia and parts of Alaska, the sub-zero conditions can arrest decomposition almost indefinitely. Discoveries such as the baby mammoth Lyuba, found in 2007, or the adult mammoths unearthed in the 20th century near the Kolyma River, offer unparalleled glimpses into soft tissue, fur coloration, stomach contents, and even possible parasites in their intestines. When such mummy mammoths surface, paleontologists and geneticists jump at the chance for sampling. Tissue samples can yield ancient DNA, letting researchers reconstruct the mammoth genome. Analyses of hair reveal seasonal growth patterns, and stable isotopes in tusks can track an individual's diet changes or migrations over its lifetime. These data have revolutionized our understanding of mammoth biology and ecology. Apart from frozen carcasses, large bone beds, like those in Hot Springs, South Dakota, document entire accumulations of mammoth remains in natural traps such as sinkholes or waterholes. In Eurasia, certain open-air sites mix mammoth bones with stone tools, signifying ancient kill or butchery locations. Each site contributes to the puzzle, from mass death events triggered by accidents to ephemeral hunting camps along Ice Age rivers. These discoveries collectively underscore the synergy between geological processes, permafrost, sedimentation, and archaeological curiosity. Without the cold and stable conditions of the North, much of the mammoth's secret life would be lost to decay. Instead, each new specimen thawed from the ice offers a moment of time travel, an intimate glimpse at how these creatures truly looked, fed, died, and even how they might have endured wounds or illnesses. In recent years, the notion of de-extinction, resurrecting extinct species using genetic engineering, has stirred public imagination. The woolly mammoth sits at the forefront of this conversation. With well-preserved DNA from frozen specimens, scientists have assembled incomplete but robust mammoth genomes. Projects at institutions like Harvard have experimented with inserting mammoth-like genes for hair growth, cold tolerance, into Asian elephant cells. The goal? Potentially create a cold-adapted elephant-mammoth hybrid. Critics point out ethical, ecological, and technical issues. The mammoth genome is not fully intact. Large fragments remain missing or too damaged to interpret. Even if scientists reintroduce mammoth traits into an elephant embryo, gestating such a hybrid is fraught with complications. The mother's physiology might not align with that of an Ice Age giant, and rearing such a calf in a modern habitat, lacking the true mammoth step, could be questionable. Ethically, funneling resources into resurrection might detract from protecting current endangered species. Some proponents argue that a neo-mammoth might help restore Arctic tundra ecosystems, reversing permafrost melt by trampling snow in winter. Others see it as a curiosity or a marketing ploy, overshadowing pressing conservation needs for living elephants. Still, the prospect remains enthralling. Resurrecting an icon of the last Ice Age could open profound new vistas for genetic science and ecosystem management, or it could unleash unintended consequences. Regardless of the outcome, the de-extinction debate has placed the woolly mammoth back into public spotlight. Whether feasible or not, these scientific dreams reflect our lingering fascination with these vanished titans, and a longing to reconnect with an ancient world we once shared. In the grand epic of life on Earth, the woolly mammoth stands as a testament to adaptability, family bonds, and the raw power of Ice Age evolution. From its thick pelt to cunning tusk usage, everything about this creature bespoke mastery of the cold steppe. Yet even that mastery faltered when climate shifted and human pressures mounted. Their fossils, whether scattered bones or whole mummies, invite us to ponder how these majestic mammals once dominated a tundra world, forging migratory pathways across Beringia and bridging continents. Although extinct, the woolly mammoth resonates through modern culture and science. Its story is recast in children's books and museum dioramas, serving as an iconic symbol of the Ice Age. Its genes linger in permafrost samples, spurring dreams of genetic resurrection. Its bones reveal architectural uses by Paleolithic communities, uniting the destinies of mammoths and humans in a shared narrative of survival and ingenuity. And so, the secret life of the woolly mammoth. Quiet moments of calf rearing in sheltered hollows, the thunder of herds across sweeping plains, the rumble of communication in low-frequency calls, echoes across millennia, preserved in amber-like clarity by the Arctic's chill. If one takeaway stands out, it's that the woolly mammoth thrived in a precarious but bountiful niche. Their success and ultimate disappearance highlight the fragile interplay between megafauna and environment, underscored by the arrival of a formidable new predator, Homo sapiens. In many ways, the mammoth's fate mirrors broader themes of extinction that shaped the late Pleistocene, reminding us how swiftly even the mightiest can fall when confronted by rapid changes. And yet, their image endures. In the quiet hush of museum halls or the pages of scientific journals, the woolly mammoth still roams, a silent ambassador from an era of glaciers, saber-tooths, and endless grass seas. Through continuing research, and perhaps even daring endeavors in genetic labs, this Ice Age Titan story remains vibrant, bridging our modern viewpoint with a lost world that was once very real indeed.